All right. I'm excited to welcome Alina Jingan, Marketing Automation and CRM Strategist for Blind Chalcott, to the next edition of Tech Stack Chats. Alina, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about Blind Chalcott and what you do.
Hi, Eric. Thanks so much. My pleasure. Yeah, absolutely. Blenheim Chocolate is the UK's leading venture builder. So we have a portfolio of sales over 300 millions. We have more than 3,000 employees, and within the group we have more than 40 companies at the moment. Primary industries that our ventures and our companies are focusing on fintech, digital, edtech, cloud, healthcare. Within my current role at Blenheim Chalcott, I lead the marketing automation and CRM practice.
So how are you advising some of your portfolio companies that are in growth mode when it comes to technology investments?
Yeah, so I work, as I said, as a lead for marketing automation and CRM. However, I look at marketing technology stack and try to help CMOs, marketing directors within our group to develop their marketing technology capabilities, but also to transform their marketing models. So to be specific, I get involved into roadmap planning, the review, audit of legacy stacks, and migration projects. To give you a specific example of a project, it can be to look at an existing stack that a company within our group would have and try to bring the value out of that stack, leverage the existing technologies. And specifically, we look at platform performance, process performance, and people performance, right? So we look across these three targets and elements and try to understand what's the current situation and where do we want to take it. Basically trying to create a vision for that marketing technology stack in short term, maybe a couple of years, but also long term. I would say it's very fascinating to see the journey that some of the companies go through from starting to audit their marketing technology stack, which usually surfaces so many surprises. People don't necessarily know exactly what capabilities and how much in terms of MarTech they already have in-house. So it's very good exercise to start with taking inventory and doing a proper audit of the marketing technology stack that's already that already exists in the house, but also to try to map out what exactly are the priorities in terms of filling in those gaps, or maybe it can be even skill sets, or it can be optimizing the processes, the way the company thinks or approaches their platforms. I don't hear you anymore.
Oh, sorry. I love what you said. You've got platform performance, you've got process performance, and people performance. So what would you say is the number one out of all of those? People, platform, process.
Yeah, definitely 100% is people. Because that's exactly a very interesting. It's an interesting scenario, and as part of the conversations that I have with some marketing directors, because everyone is tend to think about MarTech as tech, right? But tech is just tech, right? It's all that you do with your tech. That's what matters at the end of the day. So it's about having the right skill set, the right people to put in place the right processes so you can utilize your right technology to reach out to your right customer at the right time with the right message. So we know the story goes like that. But if you don't have the people, that's where we usually start. We start with sourcing the right skill set for training, investing in training the existing resource or building that resource capability.
So how do you advise, let's say, a CMO on how to build out the team to support the platforms and the processes?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we all the time we advise to have a vision, as I said, have a long-term vision, but start growing in stages. Don't go out and try to recruit everyone and try to buy everything only because you have this grand vision. That's actually one of the pitfalls that we advise against and is recommended to avoid. So all the time it's good to have strategic planning in place, but also to have a roadmap or execution roadmap. And within that execution roadmap, you would have ideally mapped out how you're going to grow in stages. So, what's the core for business as of now? Is it to have marketing automation, a CRM, a database, and analytics maybe to have in place? Would that enable the business to grow as it is of now? And mapping that against the exact skill set that you need. We need specific technologies to roll out those platforms. We need an agency or a partner, trusted vendor to work with. So there are multiple ways of sourcing those capabilities. You don't necessarily need to go out and recruit, but you need to be very thoughtful about where do you find them. Is it long term? Is it short term collaboration? How do you capture and bring in on how you bring inside those capabilities once the relationship with the vendor is finished and so on. So planning the whole cycle in advance, but executing one step at a time for a robust execution. I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah, so we are going through a similar process with evaluating what capabilities are best suited for a vendor versus what types of roles we should be hiring inside of our organization. So when would you advise to go with a vendor versus a new full-time employee or contractor?
I think it depends on the maturity level that the marketing team is at the moment. So it's important to understand if you're doing it for the first time, right? It's important to have someone to show you the road, show you how fast or how far you can go, and you learn as fast as you can and pick up the good practices, because learning from experience is great, but most of the time it's very costly, right? So with martech especially, so many projects start very enthusiastically but end up with so much like big gaps within the budget only because it's gone wrong. So it's good all the time, it's good to have skillful resource in place to take you where you want to go, at least for the first part of the journey. And not, as you go, you build on your own capabilities, you recruit people, you train people, you invest in them, learn from the best. I think this methodology will enable a company to scale faster than trying to recruit straight away. That person might feel isolated, might feel like there is no support, there is no academy to learn from, no best practices put in place, so might feel a little bit lost.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I guess I'll wrap it up here with one last question. Can you tell us a story about a portfolio company that you think has has done a fantastic job with building out their platforms, their processes, and people, and what their keys to success were?
Yeah, I can give you a success story, a happy story, happy ending story. Yeah, so we had a company, we have a company in the group that's been using multiple channels and multiple platforms, paying for every single platform, just to have different teams accomplish the same goal, basically, right? So we've run an audit across the company, understanding how the data is stored, how the data is managed, who has access to the data, ownership roles, ambassadors in terms of specific platforms, and so on. And the recommendation that we had was to consolidate marketing and sales teams to use one platform, one single vendor. And that has made a huge difference for this company, because it basically laid the ground for them to bring people together, so increased collaboration, transparency, and so on. But it also enabled them to have access to the same data from like input and output. So everyone had access to the platform. Everyone agreed on the best ways to input that data, to basically store data, manage it, but also have access to insights and analytics to the reports, optimizing the best ways of extracting that market intelligence that they ultimately had to put to good use. I think that was the great use case that I'm really proud of.
That's fantastic. So I have one secret bonus question that I put at the end of every tech stack chat. So in 5 words, describe the ultimate MarTech stack.
Okay. I would say works great for your business.
All right, that's a new approach. A lot of people will use 5 different words, but you've got some great advice
I
in your
think
5.
it's important to have something that works for you. There is no point in having something that's shiny, that's expensive, that's a brand, huge brand, if it doesn't work for you.
Love it. Well, Alina, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with the AirStack community today. I wish you all the success with your portfolio companies at Blinum Chalet, and look forward to connecting with you again in the future.
Thank you, Eric. My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.